School of Agriculture Biotechnology, we are running a wheat-wide hybridization program. We started this program in 1983. This program was initiated by Dr. Harcharan Singh Taliwal. He was the person who brought the first germplasm set from the University of Missouri and Kansas State University. Since then, we have been collecting the germplasm from different gene banks in the world, and now we have accumulated a set of around 1500 accessions of 5 species of wheat, which includes a very large chunk of the progenitor species, Agiloptostrae, Agilopspeltoides, and A genome species. And we have a comparatively modest number of the non-progenitor species. These white species accessions, they have a huge variability as compared to the cultivated wheat, which was domesticated, and domestication and inbreeding has led to the loss of lot of genetic variability. But the white species in comparison has a very good reservoir of new genes and alleles, which due to continuous breeding we have lost those alleles in the cultivated germplasm. So we are using these white species to find new genes and new alleles, which after the identification we try to transfer those genes into the cultivated wheat background. We are using white species for different target traits. Disease resistance is the most prominent one because that's the number one target in all the breeding programs. We are also using white species for transfer of quality traits, heat stress tolerance. Heat stress is becoming more and more important because of climate change. The grain filling period, the period in which the wheat fills its grains, that period is now affected by heat stress a lot. So this heat stress leads to a lot of shrinkage of the grains, and which ultimately leads to the loss of the yield. So heat stress tolerance is a very important character which globally it's being targeted for improvement of the wheat. And besides this, we are also using it for different productivity traits like grain size is one, and then tiller number, grain number per spike, and so on. Using non-progenitor species and progenitor species, we have transferred around 25 different genes for disease resistance. In these disease resistance genes, they include genes for leaf rust, stripe rust, powdery mildew, kernel burnt, cereal cyst nematode. And these genes, they are at various stages of utility. Most of these genes are available with the wheat breeding program of PAU, and wheat breeders, they are using these genes for the wheat germplasm enhancement. And 5 of these genes have been designated at the international level, and these have been given the designation LR57, LR58, LR76 for leaf rust resistance genes, YR40 and YR76 for the stripe rust resistance gene. These genes have been transferred from Agilopsum vellulata, Agilopsum triansalis, Agilopsum geniculata, caudata, and so on.
And so both of these species, the progenitor and the non-progenitor species, they contribute a lot variations toward this disease resistance. Like beside the genes which are already been designated, so we are still working on more than around 10 different genes which are in the process of transferring to the hexaploid backgrounds. So for this we are targeting the progenitor species like Credium monococcum, Bioticum, Speltoides, and the non-progenitor species belonging to different genomes like the U genome, AMP genome, AS genome, and all these kind of traits.
And in addition, besides finding and transferring these genes, we are also mapping these genes on the wheat genome so that we can find the linked markers, linked molecular markers, which can be later on used for the marker-assisted transfer of these genes to other elite backgrounds. And only then these genes will be more useful for the breeding program, since we will be, if we have the linked markers, we can pyramid different genes in the same background using linked markers. So using different strategies, sometimes the mapping in the wild background itself or mapping after transferring to the hexaploid background, we have found linked markers for more than 15 different genes which are being used in the breeding program.
Similarly, for not only for the disease resistance, for the other traits also, like as you mentioned, for the heat stress resistance, we are targeting the wild germplasm. Because one of the species, the Speltoides, is found to be very much tolerant to the terminal heat stress. Because when the temperature reaches at about 45 degrees Celsius, even then this species has a remarkable property of setting the seeds, and that too in very good condition without any effect on its morphology, its starch content, or anything else in its appearance. So our aim is to identify the genes, map these genes, and then to transfer these genes to the hexaploid background. So beside this Speltoides, we are also targeting the Aegilopus toshii, not directly for the heat tolerance, but we have a series of synthetics made from the different Aegilopus toshii sessions, and we are using these synthetics to transfer the heat tolerance from to the different cultivated hexaploid backgrounds, which are already becoming susceptible at such a higher temperature. Another trait which we are focusing for from transferring from the wild species is the productivity traits. So these are one of the most important things, because the end product is the ultimate need of any crop you grow. So for increasing the productivity traits, the two main target traits are the grain size and grain number. So in the grain size, we are targeting the two wild species. One is the Aegilopus toshii, where the grain size is targeted as a whole, the grain length as well as grain width. But another species we are targeting for grain size is the Triticum dicoquoides. This species we are targeting for increase in the grain length, because either there is increase in the grain length or the width, so there is increase in the productivity ultimately, there is increase in the grain weight ultimately. So the second thing which we are targeting is the number of grains per spike on the weight. So for this we are targeting another species, the age known progenitor, Triticum bioticum.
Besides identification of new genes and new alleles from the wild species, we have also been focusing on marker-assisted transfer of different genes from different backgrounds into elite wheat lines. We started our mass program in 2000, around 2000 most probably, and we targeted actually, at that time there was one variety, PPW343, which was growing at a very large area. It was a sort of monoculture. And we transferred two leaf rust resistance genes, LR24 and LR28, in its background using marker-assisted selection. That was actually in wheat, that was actually the first application of markers in PAU. And then we later on we combined these two leaf rust resistance genes with two stipe rust resistance genes, YR10 and 15. And some of these stocks carrying these four genes we have registered with the NBPGR. And then under a funding from the DBT, we tried to improve the quality also. The Indian wheat breeding program has mostly been focusing on increasing the yield, and that was understandable also, because India needed to have a self-sufficiency first, then we could afford to work for quality. And now India is self-sufficient in wheat, so the Government of India funded some programs where we wanted to improve the quality of wheat. And in this quality program, we targeted high grain protein content, pre-harvest protein tolerance, the higher grain size. As such, you might think it's a yield-related trait, but it's important for the quality as well, because it leads to a better flow recovery. So that in that sense. And pre-harvest protein tolerance is not a major problem in Punjab, but in some northeastern states, it's a major problem where the spikes, they start germinating on the plant itself because of the frequent rains. The pre-harvest protein tolerance provides resistance for that. So there were genes and QTL available for these traits which we used. We used markers like reported for these traits for transfer of these genes into different backgrounds. So we have transferred GPCB1A gene which has also been cloned by one of our collaborators only. This gene has been transferred into 3-4 different wheat backgrounds, but its expression is being affected by the background. It's showing, the gene is there, it's showing high grade protein content in some backgrounds, in others it's not showing. And some of the lines carrying high grade protein content as well as the cypress resistance is being tested in the national trials now for release as the varieties. So we are waiting for the ongoing crop season data. If that data comes good, those lines might get identified for release as the varieties. And besides using these genes, quality and the leaf rust and cypress resistance genes for marker-assisted selection, we are also transferring the gene, the heat tolerance QTL, which we identified from spaltoides. We are trying to transfer them into elite wheat backgrounds so that those can be, the heat tolerance can be transferred to the hexapride background. So those materials are now in backcross 2 stage, BC2 F1 is in the field now. So we are hopeful that we will have some heat tolerant lines within the next 3-4 years for a yield evaluation.
So similarly on this line, some of the genes we borrow from others, but we have our own genes also. So like the heat tolerance traits from the Aegilops spaltoides, this is one of our own trait which we identified, mapped, and now we are transferring through mass into the hexaploid wheat background. Similarly, we identified some of the QTLs for grain weight from the Aegilops torsion, and with the help of the markers which are linked to those QTLs, we are trying to transfer these traits into the hexaploid background. And this trait is again belong to us, means we ourselves identified these traits rather than borrowing from the other people, and now we are transferring these to hexaploid background. And another trait which we do it ourselves at the School of Agriculture Biotechnology is the powdery mildew resistance. We identified the 2 genes for powdery mildew resistance from the Triticum biotica and mapped these genes within that diploid species, identified the closely linked marker, and by using those markers, these powdery mildew resistance genes has been transferred to the hexaploid roots. So this mass program, with this mass program, we are able to transfer around 4 to 5 different genes which we borrow from the other, and 3 to 4 different genes of the QTLs which are our own.
So released a variety in collaboration with the Department of Non-Breeding Wheat Section, that's PBW 723. It has been identified for release at the national level and it's in the adaptive trials in Punjab. This will be the first commercial product which has come from our own wheat wide hybridization program. This variety carries 2 genes, LR76 and YR70, which were transferred from Aegilops amblyopia in our wide hybridization program. And besides this variety has another pair of linked genes, LR37 and YR17. This variety that's the first commercial product, and we are very, very happy about it. And most of this work which myself and Sundar has described, this has been carried out under different ad hoc research or competitive research projects funded by Government of India as well as from different international agencies. If we talk about the present status, we have now 5 international projects, and out of these 5 international projects, 4 are between Indo and UK. We are getting our funding from DBT, and UK people are getting their funding from the BBSSRC, and there is 1 Indo-Australian project, and there are 3 different national projects. So the most of the funding which we are getting is from Department of Biotechnology, Government of India, under Ministry of Science and Technology. And the work which we have been able to do, we have have very good markers and identify good genes. That has been done with the help of a number of international collaborators, which include Dr. Vikram Gill and Jesse Pollard from Kansas State University, Cristobal Oye and Brandy Wolf from John Innes Center, UK, and Alison Bentley and James Cockrum from NIAB, UK. And we also have good collaboration with the University of Cambridge. Howard Griffiths is our collaborator there. So this has been what we have described. It's a teamwork. There have been a number of PhD and master students involved in this. There are a number of postdoc and pre-doctoral research fellows who have contributed to this work.